Hey there, everybody. Welcome back. Thanks for clicking on the video. Today, I want to get into The Other Way, Season 5, Episode 3, How I Haven't Met Your Mother. If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe. Hopefully, I'll get the next episode of this done real soon. But I want to start off with Julio and Kirsten. So, we meet up with them. They're taking a nice little stroll through Central Park. She gets to see her first ever squirrel, and she's never seen one because, they don't have them where she lives. He said they had a good first night. They went home, the hotel had some dollar slices of pizza, had some good loving, and went to bed. Seems pretty legit to me. So, they're going to spend this day in the city before going to Long Island to meet his family. And, he's nervous. She's nervous. She's worried they're not going to like her. And he's worried about the same thing. So she's asking him, when he told his mom, how did she react? And he says, well, she was surprised. I only told her about this 3 weeks ago. She just can't believe this. Like, she really had no clue that he hadn't told his mom about her. And she's like, well, wait, you lived with me for 2 months. Like, what did your mom think you were doing? He's like, oh, I told her that I was working. And this right here would probably make me leave somebody. Like, who could just lie to their mom so easily and hide and, like, have pretty much a double life going. No thanks. And, Kirsten can't believe it either. She thought his mom knew, like he made her believe that she knew. And she talks about a time that he was on FaceTime and, she wanted to say hi to his mom and he, like, hid the phone real quick and he's like, my mom said she doesn't look good. Now she knows that was a lie. And I think that part of this is why she's been so nervous, because she thought the mom didn't even want to meet her or see her on FaceTime. She probably thought the mom didn't even like her to begin with, and she didn't even know her, or know about her. So she's asking him, like, why didn't you say anything? And she's like, I told my parents right away because she knew that he was the one, and now she just feels like a secret. He's like, no, I just know how my mom is and how to properly deliver the message. I'm like, what does that even mean, Julio? Like, And now he can tell that he messed up and he hurt her by waiting so long to tell his mom. He also hurt his mom, so there's that. And, she's still got this getting shunned from FaceTime by his mom in her head this whole time, and now she knows why. He said, he had to feel it out and be sure, and that's why he had to live with her for a couple months. And she's like, you weren't sure? So, can somebody just get this man a shovel for this hole that he's digging himself? Because, he's like, well, no, because I didn't know if I could live with you. Now Kirsten's hurt, learning that her boyfriend wasn't sure about her. Like, she just knew he was the one from the start, and that's why she told everyone, and she can't believe that she's been a secret this whole time. She also asked, like, does your mom know you're moving? And he's like, well, she does, just not, like, when. And, he's really scared about telling his mom that because what if she's not okay with it? And Kirsten is not sure why he's telling his mom, like, why he hasn't told his mom he's moving, because they've been planning this for 6 months and he's kept pushing it back because he wasn't ready. Now, that's okay that he wasn't ready, but all these secrets and lies are not okay. Like, that behavior has got to go. Nobody's got time for this. Now she's also worried that he won't actually move. And she's like, are you sure that's what you want to do? Like, 100%. He's like, well, yeah, that's why I'm having you meet everyone. Like, you're going to meet literally everybody I know. You know, his mom doesn't know that he applied for residency because he's waiting for it to get approved to tell her. And she's like, listen, you're going to tell her tonight. Like, it's already been a year. It's time. We're telling her everything. He's like, oh, okay, so I'm just going to break her heart tonight. And she's like, well, yeah, we'll be there to comfort her. He says that he didn't want to tell his mom about all of this because he doesn't want to let his mom know, like, he can't physically be there for her, with her forever. And he doesn't want her to feel alone. But he's just breaking everyone's hearts today, really. So, he doesn't want his mom to feel like he just picked up and left her. And it's like, well, sir, she wouldn't feel that way if you told her a year ago or 6 months ago. Because now you picking up and taking off is literally your plan. You're going to tell her once it's happening. Like, get residency to another country. When that goes through, tell her and leave. Versus months of being able to prepare that he was going to leave. And that he even had a girlfriend. And, you know, she's like, well, your mom's not going to steal your passport, is she? And he's like, oh, well, she might burn it. Haha. Like, oh my gosh, this poor girl. So the next time we see them, they're off to go meet his family. It's only the second person he's had meet his family, so he's worried they won't like her. And, you know, he already loves her, so what's he gonna do? He doesn't want to pick and choose if they don't like her. And he's also not excited to tell everyone the truth about how soon he's moving. She's really nervous, so is he. She asks him why he's nervous, and he's like, well, what are we going to talk about? Who's going to lead the conversation? And she's like, look, you're going to tell them you're planning on moving, because it's not her job to tell them. And he's like, yeah, I have to tell her about the residency and the date, and he's just basically telling her he's out. He won't be in her life like she wants. And he thinks she's going to be devastated. He tells about, you know, when he was younger and he would go DJ, she wouldn't sleep until he got home. And when he's far away, she doesn't do well. And now it's going to be permanent. You know, he's like, the first time I'm telling her I'm moving is the first time she's meeting you. And she's like, yeah, and I have to sit next to you. And she's going to be thinking that it's all my fault, you know. She's not going to like me already. And she's still upset that he didn't tell her about the move or her. And now the mom's going to be more upset. And she just feels like this is going to mess everything up and he's not going to come. And he's like, yeah, this is a deal breaker. I mean, a lot is riding on this. And she's like, you know, he didn't reassure her that he wasn't going to do that. So now he's even more scared. You know, she knows that the hardest part about leaving for him is his mom. He's 27, he still lives with her, and, you know, what if she doesn't want him to move? Before, you know, she thought he was for sure going to go either way, but now she's just not sure. And, you know, like, that's how they're making it seem, you know, like, there's a question now. And she says his mom's reaction will determine their future. So, you know, no pressure, right? They get there, they're walking into the house. Everyone is there waiting. He introduces her to the mom. She gives the mom flowers. She also meets his two brothers. The mom's like, welcome home. She just probably wants her to move over here and move in, I bet. She's like, you can live here, it's fine. So the mom says her first impression is that she seems nice and she's pretty. But, you know, that's really all she knows about her. Everyone sits down. The mom's already cooking. Julio knows it won't be easy, but he has to tell his mom everything. So they start passing around the food, and it's just pure crickets and silence until Kristen is like, oh, what did Julio tell you about me? She's like, that he has a girlfriend, and, you know, she was like, what? And he asked her if he suspected a girl from another country, and she said that when he was over there, she would call and she would hear a voice in the background and ask who it was, and he would say, just a friend. He translates that to Kristen and tells her, she tells him that she doesn't like the friend thing, and like she didn't know that she was a secret. And the mom is like, he's not honest, because if he was honest, he would have told the mom. And, Julio follows that up with, well, I'm going to tell her about the application I submitted now. So he tells her he applied for the papers a long time ago to live there, and he's waiting to get an answer. And she asks if he's leaving. He says yes. She says definitely. He says yes, soon, about 3 months. The mom is just speechless, and, she needs time to prepare for this. She can't believe he already applied for residency, and she thinks it's rushed, and it probably feels that way to her. He's known this woman for a year. She barely knew she existed a few weeks ago. So, she just wasn't expecting it to be this fast. She's like, are you for sure doing this? And he says, yeah. She's just crying. And now Kirsten is upset because, she was afraid of this. And it's just a lot to take in. And she can see how close they are. And, she thinks it's going to be hard for him to actually move. And, he ends off with, like, it's okay, Mom. We had plenty of good times as mother and son. Like, what the heck is that? Like, it's okay. We had enough good times. I'm out of here. That's not going to comfort her. And, I'm starting to not like this guy. He's a bit of a liar. And it's like he lies to keep the peace, and that just blows up in his face. And it's not fair to these two women that he did this to them. And, yeah. I'm sure that's going to bite him in the ass, so I can't wait to see all that. Alright, moving on, I want to talk about Brandon and Mary. So we meet up with Mary first. She's talking about the huge fight they had about him sitting next to girls. Apparently he told her that he wasn't going to be sitting by girls or anyone, and that wasn't true, so that gave her every reason to be mad. While she's sitting there, he FaceTimes her. He made it to his hotel. She said, at the time she was so mad she told him not to come here. But now he's staying overnight in Manila. He tells her he's upset that she got so mad he was sitting by a girl. And if it happens again, he'll try to move seats. But if he can't move seats, she's going to have to deal with that. Brandon's really putting his foot down there. She's like, well, don't talk to them. Side note, how embarrassing would it have to be like, stewardess, I need to be not by a woman because my girlfriend's freaking out. He told her that too. She tells him not to talk to girls, and he's like, he doesn't. And she just doesn't believe him because she's not sitting there on the phone watching. She knows that she overreacts with Brandon, but her ex cheated on her 10 times, and she forgave him 10 times. So she's used to the one boy she was with doing that. He's like, the fact that I'm on my way there to you should show her that he's not leaving her or wanting to cheat. But she says that him coming to the Philippines makes her even more scared to lose him. So, yikes. I wonder where that's gonna go. And she's like, well, if you love me, don't talk to girls tomorrow, okay? And, he goes to sleep, and she sits there and watches him sleep. Then we get to see her grandpa, and he's working on the farm. He plants rice and corn, and he has chickens and pigs and other things, I'm sure. She helps out sometimes, and today's a good day for her to do that so she can keep busy, because Brandon's going to be here later. Later. He has one more flight, and then they're going to be together. The grandparents are talking to her, and she shushes them and tells them to keep it down because he's sleeping and they might wake him. And they kind of look at him and sit down. And the grandma's like, I heard you guys fighting. And, you know, she's like, it's nothing, don't worry. It's just a normal misunderstanding. And the grandma's like, normal? Like in question form. The grandpa starts talking about how it was hard for him, you know, to take care of kids that weren't his, that were left to him. Because he was already old and the father should have been the one doing that. And now he's just worried for her. And that's why they want to meet Brandon in person, to know that she's safe with him. They tell her, you know, just love each other and don't fight. And most importantly, he needs to respect them, so they know that if he loves her or not. They tell her that he needs to go to them and ask permission to do anything with her. They tell her, you know, don't do it with him. They keep saying that. Like, basically, don't have sex. And I'm sure they don't want any more babies around there that they have to raise. Because, you know, what if he gets sent back to America or just goes back? Then what? So we find out Brandon needs to ask permission before he hugs her or kisses her or holds her hand. And, you know, that seems a little extreme to me, but it's not my culture. So she says she doesn't want to have sex before marriage because those are her religious beliefs. And it's just normal in her culture to ask permission for these things. They just want his respect. But she's been waiting so long to, you know, hold his hand and hug and kiss him. And she wants to respect their wishes, but she doesn't want to tell Brandon he has to ask for permission to do these things. She just wants them to be normal when they first meet. So she doesn't know what to do. But she has quite a bit of time to think about it, because later her and her brother are on a 3-hour car ride to the airport. The brother's going with to keep her safe and probably to chaperone. You know, she's nervous and excited, and she tells her brother she can't wait to hug him for real. The brother's like, look, Grandpa said that isn't allowed, and if you do that, you're breaking the traditions of the ancestors. You know, she's nervous to break the rules, but this moment needs to be for her and not for her grandfather. He tells her if she wants to hug him, it's up to her. She says that, like, you know, her brother knows what it's like to break the rules because he kissed someone before marriage and definitely brought shame upon the family. And his grandpa didn't talk to him for a year. And that's why he's putting so much pressure on Mary to follow these rules. And she's like, well, what if Brandon kisses me? And he's like, maybe on the cheeks. She tells us, you know, Brandon knows that the grandpa is strict and she's never kissed anyone, but he's not aware of these rules. And if he kisses her, she doesn't know what to do. So Brandon lands, he goes and gets himself freshened up. And, you know, she's nervous, her knees are shaking, she thinks she's going to pee herself or something. She video calls him to tell him she's outside. She's still not sure what to do, but if she does kiss someone, she wants to be with them forever. And she hopes that their love is just more real in person. She just can't live without him. So Brandon is on the way out. She had asked her brother to stand back there and, you know, record them meeting. And I think he's also doing it for blackmail purposes. You know, catching the rule breaker on the camera. And all of a sudden the video call's breaking up. And there's Brandon, and she's so excited, she reaches out for the hug. And she's just sobbing, and he picks her up, and she's like, you're so handsome. And they have just a little kiss. They immediately show the brother's reaction, and he just kind of twitches a little. He tells her how pretty she is and keeps kissing her. And at this point, I was real happy for them, even if they're toxic. So she tells the camera, you know, seeing him, she was overwhelmed with emotions, like butterflies. And even though everyone told her not to kiss him, she definitely wants to and needs to. And the brother's just standing there watching all this kissing. And she's so happy to have her first kiss with him. But it was a little awkward and weird because she doesn't know how to kiss. He tells her she's good at it. He's feeling fireworks. She thinks she's dreaming. And he finally goes to shake the brother's hand, and the brother's trying to give him some nice, like, welcome, hello speech. And this guy just can't keep his lips off Mary to not be a rude jerk. Rude mother effer. No, he's just, doesn't even care about the brother or meeting him or anything. So Brandon's already coming in hot with the disrespect. The brother knows this is the first time they're meeting after so long, and he's giving them their moment, but it's awkward for him because they haven't asked permission, and this could be problems for Brandon. And I don't think that's fair because he didn't know. Like, what about her? So, she's like, oh, we should end the video call now because the phone was still on. And it feels good for him to put his phone away and just be there in the moment. He just feels the anxiety lifting. And he just hopes everything's going to be sunshine and rainbows now. So they're all nice and comfy, cozy in the cab. I'm thinking, well, at least the brother gets to sit in the front seat. She keeps making him say Bobby or whatever stupid crap they call each other over and over. And he just can't believe he's there. And she keeps telling him to kiss her because she just loves kissing him. And the brother's like, look, you're being naughty. And she is a little worried that she's breaking the rules. And she doesn't know what the consequences are going to be. The brother interrupts the smooch fest to ask him if in the U.S. kissing is okay. And he says it is. And he's like, it's not here. The ancestors say no. He tells them that they can't kiss and he needs to ask permission. So he asks permission. And the brother's like, well, for me, yeah, but you need to ask Grandpa first. And Brandon just had no idea it was rude, and he feels like it's absurd. And he wasn't expecting the culture to be so different. And, he wished that Mary told him so that he could act right. And I think that's true, too. I think a lot of the blame gets put on Brandon. However, I have never kissed someone like that in front of other people or in a small car. And if my brother or sister did that, I would have said something way sooner. Like, I'm not trying to hear that or see that. I didn't even do that when I was a teenager. So it kind of shows how immature these two are. So, just no one wants to see or hear that. We finally get to Mary's town. She tells him, they're good people, just be respectful. He's going to see the house for the first time. And he's nervous because he spent every penny he has over there to build. And, he just wants it to be perfect. He's also worried about meeting her grandparents. The grandma sees him and says, oh, he's small. And I think she's just sizing him up to see, what kind of worker he'll be. So, of all things, Mary did at least tell Brandon how to greet them over their countless hours of video chat. So, there's that. It's a little awkward. They're making small talk. Mary's translating. He's like, yeah, it's good to be here, but it's hot. My glasses keep fogging. And, the grandpa's glad he's finally here. Because up till now, they've just been text mates or pen pals. I don't remember which one he called them, but that was funny. And then he's like, well, what did you first do when you met Mary at the airport? And hopefully Brandon catches the hint because Mary is sweating. If he knows the truth, he's not going to trust Brandon, but she also doesn't want to lie. And I guess she should have done what she was supposed to do and explain to Brandon the culture, the customs, the expectations of him as far as that. But she was afraid because deep down, she wants to kiss him and hug him and do all those things. She's just being a rebel. So that's probably going to blow up in the next episode. I'm excited to see that. This was probably the one and only episode they're not going to be completely toxic. And that's only because they had the nice little airport meetup. So I'm interested to see what happens next, what he tells the grandpa, and how the grandpa responds, because I'm sure he won't believe him if he's like, oh no, we didn't do anything. I didn't touch her hand. I didn't even try to hug her. Doubt it. All right, thank you for everyone who's still here. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. I'm going to go ahead and move on to Kimberly and TJ. She's packing up her things for her trip to India. She overslept a little bit, so now she's nervous, but her spirit guides are telling her to calm down and take it slow. And she's just not sure right now if she's excited or not. Like, everything's sinking in that she's getting married in a few days, and she just has some things she's not sure about. She knows nothing about the wedding, and that worries her. You know, it's basically all the family's traditions and what they like versus the bride and what she wants. Then she kind of breaks her suitcase, and her dad comes in with the duct tape, saves the day. You know, a lot's out of her control, her wedding, her apartment. And she says, you know, the first time she went there, she was ready to come home. She was definitely homesick. Her dad's like, you know, this is a big step, and it's not always going to be smooth sailings. And she said, you know, calm waters never made a good sailor. And then they start with the pirate impressions, and all I could think is they're just so much fun. You know, she's going to miss him and his dad jokes. And she's just not looking forward to moving in with 3 other people. You know, if they argue, is the whole family going to get involved? You know, probably. And she knows she's opinionated, and they're probably going to butt heads. And she just doesn't want 4 people yelling at her. The dad just hopes that TJ is going to take care of her, like he says, and, you know, he respects Kim and her beliefs and her wants too. And she's like, well, yeah, but taking care of someone is also emotional, not just monetarily. The dad just wants his daughter to live the life of her dreams, but it's rough. You know, they have a lot to work through, and it just makes the dad anxious. But he's trusting TJ to take care of her. Dad brings her to the airport. They say their goodbyes, and, you know, he's going to see her soon at her wedding. And he just seems like a wonderful dad, very caring and helpful and encouraging. So I think we need some more dads like that out there. And, you know, here she goes on her journey, moving halfway across the world and getting married. She's scared, but she loves him so much that she's just willing to take the risk. So the next time we see her, she's in Chicago, taping up her suitcase again. It's day 2 of her trip to India. But today she's excited and happy. She's exhausted, but she knows when she gets there, it's all going to be worth it. So then we are catching up with TJ, and today's the day he goes off to get Kim at the airport. He's also excited to embrace her and feel her next to him. And today's just the start of everything. His family's still concerned that she's not going to be a good Indian wife. And he's, you know, explaining how Indian wives do so many things. And he thinks Kim will learn. And he knows that she loves him. I don't think she's going to learn. I don't think she's going to do it. And this is going to blow up in his face. So Kim finally lands. TJ's waiting there with a very large bouquet of flowers. I think they're lilies. They're real pretty. She runs out and hugs him, and he's kissing her on the head. And she says she wishes, you know, she could kiss him, but in India, you can't kiss in public. But either way, they're all smiles. It's a huge deal that he hugs her at the airport, I guess, and they're just happy to be together again. She says the wedding's in a week, and she might throw up because she knows almost nothing. And she asks him, like, does he feel like he's gonna throw up? And he says no, because he did all the things. So, yeah, after that, they're in the car. She's happy to be there after 3 days of travel. And she just still can't believe she's getting married in 9 days. And it's just her fairy tale come true. He's excited to show her the apartment, and she's just nervous. He tells her it's clean, and she's like, it better be. And he says she'll like it better when she decorates because, decorating for sure is a woman's job, I'm guessing. She said the last time she lived there, it was hard for her to get used to things. She had to boil water to take a hot shower, things like that. So she's not sure what to expect with the apartment. She's worried about privacy. She loves his family, but she's not sure about living with them. He says that in his home they have 4 people. But if you have a big heart, you can live with 12 people, even in a small room, because you care for each other. I don't think so, but if he says so. So they have 1 bedroom, and either him or his brother sleep there with his mom. Dad gets the front room floor. Like, what in the world is this? Is he like 27 and him and his brother swap out sharing a bed with his mom? So he says that he thinks the mom and dad had a fight or something because he stopped sleeping in there 20 years ago. And he's just in the car and he's telling Kim, like, sometimes if you want to make things work, you have to compromise. And I'm just wondering, where's this guy compromising? Because he's like luring her over there and then he's going to flip the script on her after they get married. So I don't think that's compromise. And she's just thinking she has no idea how living with his family is going to work. She values her alone time and space, and she already lived in a big family all her life with all the chaos, and she's just not interested. But she loves him, so, she's giving it a shot. They get to the house. The mom greets her. They're really happy to see each other. The dad and brother are next. Kimberly, she gets points for actually knowing how to greet his family properly. This is the second couple in a row who did that. So people are learning slowly. She sits down. She starts handing out candy and gifts. She gives the mom some wind chimes. The dad gets a rose quartz, which is the same stone she plans on wearing when they get married. Rose quartz represents like love, self-love, all that kind of stuff. She gives the brother some kind of wooden back massager. And all I could imagine is the brother's thinking that he did all this work and he just gets a little wooden massager. And then she looks at TJ and is like, "What now, brown cow?" And I'm like, is that like a racist joke? Or does she just say that often? I don't know. But anyway, he's going to go ahead and show her the apartment. He's been building it for 2 months, and, she has a lot of expectations of what it's supposed to be. She, wants it to make you feel welcomed and loved and safe. And I think, it takes living in a home to make it feel that way. But she just has high hopes. She wants it to feel like home. So we're at the moment of truth. They're going up the stairs. TJ even gives us a countdown. She walks in. He's excited to show her all that he's built for her, but it still needs work. He's giving her the tour. She is not impressed. He doesn't have a window yet because the window guy was in the hospital. He shows her the washroom, bathroom, and she's not happy about the door placement. It swings into the water, and the door was supposed to be on the other side of the room. She just thought it was going to be in another spot. There's no door, no curtains, no window. If nature calls, someone can look right in the window right at her. The sink is in a tiny little cubby hole outside of the bathroom. And she just thinks the layout is trash, basically. The counter is broken. It has a lip. She asked him not to have a lip. How is she supposed to clean the counter? It's just not done right. And he's upset that she hates it. She says he's wasting money. And, he's talking about how he had a loan and he's blaming all this on a culture difference. Apparently, they do everything at a snail's pace over there. He's like, I told you when you come here, you could change things and supervise. She's just upset. She feels they half-assed all the jobs, and she feels like he got ripped off, and that nothing that she asked for was done. The doorways are driving her nuts. They don't line up. They're crooked. And he's just grateful for the people who did it. He's like, you know, they're not New York contractors or something. And she needs to relax. And she's like, relax? I can't even pee in here because there's a wide open doorway and no windows. And he's like, you know, this is all your fault. You've been here for 2 hours and you're mad at someone. And you could just pretend to be happy. And she's like, look, buddy, I'm giving up everything. And he's like, everyone gives up family. And she's like, well, you sure aren't. And he's like, well, I'm not moving to the U.S. And she's like, I'm giving up everything to be with you. And you just had to do this one thing. And he's like, what, am I your servant now? And I bet she's going to be saying the same thing to him real soon. And probably his family. And she's like, nah, I expect you to be a partner and you're failing. And he's like, you know, don't you understand? If someone's putting in money and sweat and time, you should be grateful. And, you know, she's like, she was giving him some slack, but then he came in here acting like a dick. And he's like, mind your words. I'm not disrespecting or abusing you. Please do the same. And she's like, well, no, you're acting like this. And this is not how I want to be treated all my life. And, you know, she doesn't want to marry this man in front of her. And he's like, fine, then don't. And that's that. You know, they both came into this apartment thing defensive and ready to attack. He's realizing that all the, like, crap he's thrown at her about their life together isn't going to add up. And she's going to call him out on it. She's not going to just be a submissive, smile and nod, grateful for anything you give me, table scraps type of wife. She's just not. And he knew that. He should have known that. I'm sure this is going to get much worse before it gets better. So, hold on to your drinks, guys. Okay, next up, we're going over to Holly and Wayne. Our couple and the mama are heading home to Wayne's. And he has some things to show them when he gets there, you know, security-wise. Holly wants them to get along because it would be hard for her to get married if her mom thought she was making a mistake. She didn't say that she wouldn't get married, though. So, as they're driving, we see little tiny metal shack-type houses. Wayne tells them they're called squatters. And the mom's like, okay, kind of sketchy now. But she does feel sorry for the people who live there. Holly says, again, you know, this is her mom's first time out of the country, and she just thinks she's terrified. She's worried that her mom's going to hate it. So they make it to the house. Shows them the kitchen and the room that they're going to stay in. Again, they're sleeping in different rooms because they were born Jehovah's Witnesses. And, you know, he says there's a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses in South Africa. And when he was a teenager, he drew away from the religion, but he still has strong ethics and morals, even if it's hard. So I noticed that poor Holly is walking around this house looking sickly and pale and shaky, and her voice is hoarse. And I'm like, can someone just get this woman a lozenge and a nap before the tour? But I guess not. Then he starts explaining the load shedding to the mom. You know, they turn off the power to not overload the system. He says there's stages 1 through 8, and 8 means 8 hours of no power or 8 times a day. And during these times, there's just a lot of crime. And it's necessary to have these extra precautions, or you're just going to lose everything. So he starts showing them the security stuff. First, we have like a pepper spray sprayer in the garage. And when someone comes in to steal something, they set off the alarm and they get pepper sprayed. But then it's just water. So I don't know if it really has pepper spray or not. But if it's water, how's that going to stop anybody? Like, it has to burn for them to run away, I would think. Especially if they're that desperate. Or, you know, wanting to steal your stuff. But, you know, Wayne is worried that the mom won't feel safe there. And he shows him the cameras and he's showing her the pool. And he wants to surprise her with something. And then she just kind of walks ahead and starts crying and like, this is where they killed Stormy, isn't it? And he's hugging her. And he tells us, the third time people broke into his house, they killed his dog. She had gotten close to his dog, so she's really upset, to go up there and see the dog not there. So, she wants to go in and she's just going to look at the pool later. I'm guessing the pool was the surprise. I don't think it was the spot the dog was murdered or anything. So she doesn't know what kind of evil person would do that to a dog. And, they go in, they sit down. The mom is glad to see all the things, but she feels like it's a lot. And he says, this is normal. Even in the gated communities, they have all these types of things. And the mom's realizing it's more serious and dangerous than she thought. He doesn't know what else he could do to make her feel safe. So he's worried that the mom's not going to trust him to take care of Holly. The mom is worried about safety and then, leaving Holly there. But, I think Holly is a big girl and it's really up to her, not these two. Like, she can decide if she feels safe enough to live there or not. And, she doesn't need to rely only on him to keep her safe. She could learn some things, I know she wants to be like Rapunzel, but she can't be a damsel in distress all the time. So, I just felt like she childish in this moment. Not like she's childish, but it felt like immature behavior. And it might have been because she was so sick, and it's like they're fighting over who gets to take over responsibility of keeping her in line, keeping track of her, making sure she's okay. So the next time we see them, it's their first morning, and this time it's a little different because, mom's there. They didn't have a chaperone last time because she didn't know if she would like him. She thought maybe they would just be friends. And now this time they're there. They love each other. They're engaged. They're going to get married. And all that temptation is there. So a chaperone is for sure needed for them. And she does feel it's weird needing a chaperone at their ages, but, it is what it is. You got Wayne over there in the kitchen. He's making the ladies breakfast. And then the mom starts talking about how, it's important for them to stay chaste until marriage. Wayne gets breakfast done. The eggs are a hit with the mom. She knows at least Holly's not going to starve. She tells him the bed was like heaven. Then he says something about a threesome, meaning like all of them in the bed watching TV. And like they tease him about it because what he said was a little risque, I would think. He says it's weird doing things this way. He just wants to give the mom a sleeping pill and sneak Holly off to his room. But, he's not going to do that. The mom is like telling him she needs to get to know him and their dynamic before she's comfortable. And, he's like, my goal is to be with Holly the rest of my life. This is like a done deal. But then, we talk about the safety again, and she's still worried about that. And, he's like, I'm going to keep her as safe as I can. And the mom wants to go look at some gated communities before she leaves. So even if they don't move there right away, like, the mom could see it and know it's an option. Holly's like, if I don't feel safe in the country, at least I can feel safe in my home. That's not too much to ask. And he's just a little offended, I think, because he put a lot of work into the house to make it safe. And in reality, if we're being honest, he can't afford a gated community. And he doesn't know how Holly's going to take that. Apparently, they're very expensive. And that being said, he worries that, she's going to regret coming there. And she's just scared to be a woman in a strange country, and she doesn't know how to defend herself. So I think she should give it some time. If she really wants to live there, she needs to learn how to adapt and how to defend herself. And yeah, there wasn't too much from these guys this episode, so I don't have any strong opinions here. Besides that, I think she could, take up for herself a little more, and it's not someone else's responsibility to, guide her through life like that. I saved Kenny and Armando for last. So Kenny and Armando have been living in Mexico City for about a week. So far, Armando's digging it. He likes the vibes and the people, but, he's just not sold on living there. Especially that far away from his family and, of course, his safety concerns. But they're taking Hannah to see a school today. She's a little nervous because she doesn't want to change schools for sure. But then Armando tells us, Hannah's education is number one, most important to him. And there are great schools in Mexico City with extended curriculums and more sports. And that is something that would make him consider moving there. Kenny's, trying to use Hannah as his little secret weapon. Because if Hannah gets on board, he's going to have a better chance getting Armando to move. We go to the library and we find out there's like a 20-to-1 student ratio, which I think is pretty, at least where I live, it's about 23 kids in a class. I don't know about all of America, but that seems standard. And we find out they actually teach half of the day in English and half in Spanish. And Armando's impressed, and I think that's really cool. So, he likes the idea of this school for Hannah for sure. And like all the opportunities it could present for her. But he's still not sure about city life. Hannah does say she likes this school better than the one that she's in. And they're both surprised. Kenny and Armando are surprised. Kenny tells him he loves how kids have how open-minded kids are. And that she can see all the possibilities. And Armando's like, well, she sees it like you do. And you've been thinking about it like a kid. All the fun and positives. But the negatives, he doesn't see. And Kenny needs to be more realistic. Because he feels like none of the things he's worried about concerns Kenny. And, they're having a power struggle. Armando is coming into his own and pushing back on things more. And Kenny is trying to get used to that. Before, Armando wanted Kenny to have control and make these decisions. And Armando's like, look, this is what you wanted all along, for him to have a voice and stand up for himself and say what he wants. And, Kenny just says, well, they're both controlling now, and Kenny's created a monster. Kenny opens up a little bit and says, his whole life he was told he wasn't good enough and not equal. And that made him an assertive, take charge kind of guy. And, demanding of his ways. And he realized that, he does need to change a little bit and give up a little control. And that's scary for him. But this isn't going to be the thing he does that with, because he really wants to move there. So, we just got a little taste of Kenny and Armando this episode. And, that's okay. I love seeing Hannah in her school. And, it's building up to a huge power struggle between them. And I'm nervous about it. So just little doses at a time is good by me. So that was that for this week of The Other Way. I should be having episode 4 come out in the next couple days. So stay tuned for that. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't. And like the video and tell me what you thought of this one. If anyone is wondering, my shirt says, "Where are you?" And it's from a Blink-182 song, "Miss You." It's one of my favorite songs, and my sister went to the concert and she got me this shirt, but I realize you can't see what it says, and that might drive some people nuts. So it says, it's like, "Where are you?" That's how you're supposed to read it. So I hope everyone has a wonderful day, and don't forget to take deep breaths. And if you need to do any checkups, go in for those. Take care of yourself, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.